Welcome to WD Lounge, where we talk film, music, social, and cultural events. And today's video we're talking about is we'll be reacting to the new documentary of Eddie Murphy. It's called Being Eddie, and I was able to watch this documentary from beginning to the end. And speaking as a Eddie Murphy fan and actor who was also inspired by Eddie Murphy alongside with many other actors, actresses, and comedians. And all I have to say is this was a very great documentary with full of insights of things that I wasn't aware of growing up being an Eddie Murphy fan. He was able to this documentary pretty much shed the light on his early years in Hollywood when he first started doing comedy in his teenage years up until when he got his first break as his first break on Saturday Night Live, going into his first break in movies like Trading Places and Beverly Hills Cop, and how his rise to fame was so monumental that around the 80s, Eddie Murphy, along with Whitney Houston, Whitney Houston, Prince, and so forth. These iconic figures that dominated the 80s at the time. Eddie Murphy was always in that threshold. Anywhere you turned in Hollywood, Eddie was there, and I vividly remember that as a kid, especially when I first watched Coming to America. Coming to America was that movie for me that allowed that pretty much put in my mind that acting was all I was gonna do. So there was no other option, if ands or buts about it. Acting, producing, filmmaking was what I was gonna do after I saw Coming to America, because it was just the talent that Eddie had, the fact that he was able to portray so many characters at a time when not too many people were doing that. There was of course there were a lot of movies where people were putting on the prosthetic masks and the makeup artistry of acting. There was a lot of that going on at the time, but it wasn't anyone like Eddie Murphy that was in our peers growing up that was doing that. So the fact that he was able to make a classic like Coming to America, followed by Harlem Nights, Boomerang, The Distinguished Gentleman, I mean, you name it, and this documentary continues to just elaborate more on how he was able to transition from every part of his life. You can see from watching it in real time, you can see the changes. He went from a young comic in the 80s to a flashy superstar in the 90s, and then in the 2000s upward he was doing more family friendly movies, and that all changed once he became a father and he became a family man. He was able once he made that transition, he felt that it was all right. It was the right time for him to make that transition and change his direction as far as filmmaking goes. But he talked a lot about Charlie, and how Charlie was he was the best times that he had. Great laughs was when he was with Charlie. And that was a moment when he was standing there and he was like, and right when he looked there, he looked at the camera and he paused for a second. I said it before he said it, and I knew he was gonna say it. He said he missed his brother, and that moment right there resonated with me, because I've lost my parents, and I can sit there and say to myself sometimes that I just look into a blank space and be like, damn, I miss my father, or I miss my brother. I'm sorry, I miss my mother. I mean, I have my siblings still around, thank God, and I would never want to know what it's like to lose a brother or a sister, and I have both in my life, and it was just you could see the pain in his face, but I give kudos to him because he's able to mask that pain and still traject the energy that he trajects at even after 40 to 50 years being in Hollywood. I mean, the things that he's seen, the people that he's been around, the James, the Rick James story, we all know about the Rick James story that Charlie Murphy told us at the on the Dave Chappelle show. It's funny, the insight, it was actually about Eddie Murphy's life, because, of course, Charlie talked about when Eddie was there and how crazy of a night that was. We all know, I mean, we've all watched the Dave Chappelle show. We all know how crazy that night was. But if you haven't, check out the Dave Chappelle show and you'll know what I'm talking about. But overall, the documentary was great. It was very insightful. I was able to see more of Eddie Murphy as far as from a family perspective. He has multiple children who are grown, and the man is living his life, man. He lives the life of a rock star, movie star. Everybody, all the famous heads that you could think of, he's lived that life. And to be able to watch it come together in that documentary, I was pleased. It was well shot. The message was there. The director and the producers pretty much knew what direction they wanted. I think Eddie knew what direction he wanted to take it. And hats off to the team for putting on a great documentary. I strongly recommend people to go, if you grew up like I did watching Eddie Murphy from the time of Coming to America, 48 Hours, Beverly Hills Cop 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, if you grew up in that era where you knew Eddie Murphy was the man, this is definitely a watch. Being Eddie, it's playing on Netflix. You take a look at it and enjoy it. And if you've seen it already and you have any thoughts about it, please drop it on the comment section. I'd definitely like to read it and probably react to different type of comments. But let me know what you think. All right, like the content if you like it, share it if you want people to know about it. Let them know that we're out here, the WD Lounge. We talk film, we talk music, we talk social media news, and we talk culture. So anytime you want to hear it, make sure you jump on this channel, like, share, and subscribe. Until then, this is the WD Lounge. We'll see you on the next one. Ciao.